I would love to hear your thoughts on relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and I would love to hear your thoughts on how do we go about creating and strengthening those relationships as vendors, especially when we're brand new and stepping into that circle in our industry.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and you really hit the nail on the head. That relationships matter the most. And that's not to say a relationship without value isn't significant, right? You need to still deliver something to that relationship. It's not we're not looking at, parasitic relationships where you just bleed all the value from them and give nothing back. But it matters. And it's one of the things where this world is very big. It gets very, very small and narrow at the top. So who could really, really change what happens. And one of the reasons I think it's really, really key is when you have a hot offer, everyone wants to know you. When you have the offer that's converting, that everyone wants to send out, that's great. Now relationship building becomes really easy because you're the hot person in the room. Everyone wants a piece of that offer.
You're the hot girl in the club.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's a feeling I can't say I'll ever experience myself in terms of being a real hot girl in a bar or a club, but having an offer that people want to talk to, that is something I've seen. I understand what that could be like. And I see a lot of mistakes when people are in that space. There's the two mistakes I see is one, you're out of that. And so you're too intimidated to go forward and have that conversation. And we'll talk about that in a second. The other one is you got lucky. Your first offer was a big one. You're the belle of the ball. And you get in there and you forget that where you might be a big deal right now, you will not be a big deal forever. And early success sometimes is one of the worst things that happen to these entrepreneurs because they assume it's inevitable. And success will always be replicable, and you'll just get it again and again and again. And Perry Belcher, I remember him talking to me one time. He said this, he's like, listen, anytime you see a new offer owner, if they are just crushing it right out of the gate, they need to treat that offer like it's never going to happen again. Invest back in the business for as long as you can. Build up long-standing assets because you just never know if you'll ever do it again. And he said, I've seen too many people never hit it ever again. And I agree. I've seen in my time, 7 years in the industry at ClickBank, the amount of companies that end up being one offer and never getting close to it again is way, 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 way more than companies that repeat time and time again. That being said, to bring that around that, so sometimes these people get the hot offer, they have all the attention, and they tell themselves they don't need the relationships because they will always have the hot offer. And it's a huge mistake that they make because they don't build, they don't kind of find a way to give back, treat, be humble, appreciate the relationships they have, grow, develop them. So when the next offer comes, and if it doesn't win in the same way the first one does, you don't lose every relationship that was only predicated on your success of a crazy offer. You got to keep these people. You keep them in your circle. You got to continue to learn how they're succeeding, what they did, what they've done in their business, as well as, you just have kind of that baked in traffic where they're going to run offers for you. They're going to give you test traffic. They're going to give you feedback. And if you could have that in your business, one, the floor of how low you will go just continues to increase, right? And you still have that high end ceiling of success that you could potentially hit, but now you're not bottoming out of the barrel. So if you erode those relationships, I'll tell you what, you will just come in this industry, have success, and disappear as fast as you might have entered, at probably faster if you don't build those strong relationships. It really does matter.
For many years I kind of got frustrated with the JV game because my first product launch was on JVZoo. I had products on ClickBank at the time, but my first actual launch that I was able to pull off was on JVZoo. It was right around the time when JVZoo was just starting. And I can't say that they were necessarily competing with ClickBank for market share. It was more about they were going for a very particular type of info products.
We removed a lot of the products off our platform that they picked up. So it was not competition at JVZoo at the beginning.
That's sure. Right. Yeah. So I launched there. I already had that product on ClickBank, but I put it on JVZoo and launched and gave away 100% commission to people. And I think we did $10,000 in 3 days. Now, that's not big by most standards, but for me at the time, that was very big because at the time I'm making $50 a day. So for me to see so much money come through my processing account, it was pretty
That's
substantial.
party
Like
dance
felt like a
time for
big jump.
sure. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
party
yeah.
dance time.
I
Woo.
was dancing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was like, I mean, I felt on the top of the world, but immediately, I had a feeling, be like, what's next?
Mhm.
Because once your product launch is over, there's no more money coming in, and you have to figure out a way to keep that coming. And so when I went through that experience as a product launcher, I kind of didn't like the fact that money only comes in for a brief moment in time, and then nothing. And so what I've then done is I've uh, decided to focus more on paid media, because paid media would allow me to create a business where I see money coming in every day. Now, I didn't recognize back then that I could also have affiliate traffic coming in on weekly basis or whatever,
Mhm.
which is how we got it set up now, where we got the paid media, we got the affiliates stuff in parallel, and they don't necessarily like cross, but they both bringing in something on a weekly basis. And um, I did not build relationships for a long time. I really didn't. However, with my solo ads agency, it's something that I have been doing over the years, and that is, I went and I've literally approached people who I felt were potential affiliates, and I was like trying to get introductions. I would look into their Facebook page and see who are they friends with, and if I knew anybody, and would ask for an introduction. And it all kind of came to like a big climax when I secured this one affiliate. I had to give him a very custom, very specific agreement, because he knew exactly what he wanted. But I knew he was really, really big. I don't think I knew how big he was. I just knew he was big because I kept seeing his name on all those leaderboards. Like literally once a month, or every other week, there would be a leaderboard posted somewhere on social media, and this guy was on it. And
Always
usually
the
within
top.
the top
Yeah.
top 3 to 5 people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always.
You know that's
It's
big.
like,
Yeah.
so he requested a very particular type of affiliate program that I wasn't even sure if it's going to be profitable or not. Like I genuinely did not know my numbers at the time, and I was like, uh, okay, and I just said yes because I really wanted the volume.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this guy crushed it.
Yeah.
The first month, when we signed the agreement, and he started driving traffic, I think the first month alone, he doubled my business. Just this
Wow.
one guy.
That is
And
amazing.
he kept on pushing very hard for 6 to 8 months or so before his traffic dwindled down, and before I guess he tapped out his audience. But that affiliate, what that created is, first, obviously all the revenue, and it did become profitable eventually. But then other affiliates in that space saw him push me very hard,
Yep.
and that created a chain reaction of them wanting to get in on the action.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime we'd be talking to anybody who might be a potential affiliate, all I had to do is just bring up his name
Yep.
and say, well, he just ran this and this, and he just sent me this many people, and he just made this much money. I just sent him, I just PayPal him this much in commissions. Here's a screenshot. So that alone was enough to convince about 80% of them to like fall in line. They were just falling like dominoes. And before I knew it, within a year, I had like a whole network of people promoting me.
No, and you're totally right. I love the thing you mentioned. One, there are a couple of things I want to address in there that I think are there's some real great wins that talk about the power of those relationships and affiliates. And one is, if you get a top affiliate to promote you, not only does it change the traffic overnight from their volume, but the network effect of other people seeing it. You mentioned you're on everyone's list. You're always looking at offers, right? You are not alone.
Yeah.
I have a large, I call it my honeypot email, and it looks like I love spam email more than anybody. It's just littered with all the things. Anytime I need a swipe file, I know where to go because I think it gets like 50 a day. So there's tons in there, but knowing that everyone's watching these offers, they're watching these big lists. When they see your offer get sent once, twice to that list, they're like, oh, dang, this is good. And you'll see a flood of people, again, really wanting to go and promote that. I will say, as we're going to kind of go into story time, you mentioned that they had a very special deal and you weren't even sure. You weren't sure on your numbers. You're like, I hope I make money off this. I
Literally, I was hoping. Yeah.
Yeah, I will tell you, I'm glad it worked out, but be very cautious because I could tell you I've seen those same types of deals go in what looks like a great thing for a business and actually destroy businesses. There's two businesses I watched a deal like that run through all their cash. So they lost their cash and lost their business. So one thing I'd tell you, know your numbers, at least know what you need to be profitable. If you cannot be profitable and you are looking to float cash on a hope and dream, don't do it. And if that big affiliate says it's the only way that they'll send you traffic, they're not worth it to you because you might have a big top line number, but you will not have a business afterwards. So things could change in a hurry with the right collection of affiliates, which with that, I guess we should talk about how to go and build these relationships. So to kind of transition there, I think it doesn't matter if you have the hot offer or if you're brand new, you tend to see the same barriers with people when they go to get these deals, which is imposter syndrome. I shouldn't be talking to these people, or sometimes they shouldn't be talking to me. You might get the opposite where you think you're too big of a deal to talk to anybody. I would say at the end of the day, remember that every good relationship is predicated on value first, like relationships. That if both sides are trying to give the other one more value, almost like if any Office fans have ever seen the episode where Dwight and Andy are in a
Yes, they were like
deal off, like, hey, I mean, you owe me
Yeah.
one, you owe me one, like that. Where that's obviously a ridiculous example. That's the way great networking, great relationship building should start. Is both sides are trying to provide value at all times. So, I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to free yourself from the anxiety of how to build these relationships, all you have to think is, great, I just need to find a way to get value as soon as possible. And inherently, here's the other issue. Now, you might think your value is only in your offer. If you have a brand new offer, it probably is not. Your value is not in your offer. Your offer probably sucks. But you're like, well, how am I going to get traffic if my offer sucks? How do I even know if it sucks if I don't have traffic and I need affiliates? Yeah, it's a big chicken and egg argument. We see a lot of people anguish over it. They get really insecure. But every single human being has some sort of value, and no human being knows everything or has all their needs met. If those two people happen to be in the same room, they'd be the first time, and I'm pretty sure the world would blow up because there's no way that's happening. So that means that you bring unique value to every single situation. So the first thing you need to do is identify that in yourself. And you bring up some big ones. So oftentimes you might not use a lot of affiliates, but you might know how to, cold traffic. You might be able to drive paid media, which is really valuable to an offer owner that doesn't know that information. So if sometimes it's something is like, maybe you just tell them, hey, I'd love to sit down and tell you, go through an hour and share with you my campaigns that I do and run my paid media through to see if that's something you could set up and do yourself. Or, hey, I'd be happy to evaluate your campaigns that your affiliates are running and see if there's any suggestions that I could make. If you'd be willing to promote and test your, offer to the list. Now, you don't necessarily frame it that way, but you start by giving value, whatever your value might be. I'm going to tell you some of the value I've given before to build a relationship is something as simple as a recipe that I shared. Hey, my wife had this really great recipe where it was like free of all the things that taste good, but it actually tasted really good for a dessert. And I shared it with somebody, and that endeared them and created a relationship that was valuable, that next time we saw them, they brought up and said, oh, that recipe is great. And we talked more and more. Now I have an intro into their business. What's going on in your life? What's going on in your business? Small entrepreneurs, life and business are cohesive. They're the exact same thing. So if I could help out their life, I'm also helping out their business. It doesn't always look that way, but it does prove out that way if you know how to do it. So, but yeah, the first thing to do is lead with value. Give them something value. Ask questions to understand what's going on in their life, what they might need, and wait till you have the moment to inject some value into their life. Give it, and then you have to kind of trust in the rule of reciprocity. If you give someone something, they're going to want to give something back. They want to create balance in their life and their relationship. It's natural. It's human behavior. Oh, wow, that was really awesome. What can I do for you? You're always waiting for them to ask that question. And if they don't ask that question, we could get there. But ultimately, you get them to ask that question, and that's when you share what you need. But it all starts with value first. So, yeah, any questions about that? I know I could go into a lot more detail, specific things, but at a very high level, that's where you start building these relationships, is thinking what you could bring, not what they could give you.